What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Holy crap, new Chaos Emperor Dragon has been revealed already, and I'm not gonna lie guys, my body was not even ready. I was not prepared for this at all. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll catch you guys up to speed really quickly. I talked about this story last week, how Konami in the recent V-Jump, which I believe it was actually the June V-Jump, they revealed to celebrate kind of like the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! That they were going to be remaking some of the most powerful and iconic dragon cards of all time. Competitive cards, you know, like Trishula, Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon, etc. And Chaos Emperor Dragon was on the list as one of the cards that they were going to remake as a Pendulum monster. But really, I did not expect us to figure out what any of these cards did until next month's V-Jump. And man, just a few days later, it's already been revealed what one of the cards actually does. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, Konami did not let us down. This card is fucking impressive, and it's really interesting because the guys in the V-Jump had already come out and said they were on the record saying, look, these cards are freaking powerful and they're pretty much what you would expect from some of these iconic monsters. But yeah, I've read this card before, or I've read this card a couple of times, and I think that it is hella good. I think that it is so much better than the errated version of Chaos Emperor Dragon. I'm gonna go ahead and break this guy down. So this is Chaos Emperor, the Armageddon Dragon. It's a level 8 Dart Dragon, so far nothing has changed. It is a Pendulum monster, so obviously that's a little different. Pendulum mechanic didn't exist during the DM days. 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense. I'm pretty sure that those are Chaos Emperor Dragon's original stats. I know he was 3,000 attack. I'm just gonna guess he was originally 2,500 defense. This guy is a Pendulum scale of 1, so you know, shout outs to low scales. His Pendulum effect is a hard once per turn. It says you can pay 1,000 light points, target one of your banished dragon monsters, destroy this card, and if you do, add that card to your hand. At first, I was a little unimpressed by this effect until I actually read the monster effect. This effect is actually ridiculous when you take it in the context of the, basically like the entire package, especially when you consider where Konami wants you to run this card, which I'll talk about that later once I'm fully done with the card. Then we go to the monster effects, and it cannot be, this card cannot be normal summon / set. You expect that. Must be special summoned from your hand or face up from your extra deck. That is lovely. By banishing one light and one dark monster from your graveyard. So this summoning condition is true to form, except this card can be special summoned from your extra deck, which is really nice. It says you can only special summon one Chaos Emperor, the Armageddon Dragon, once per turn this way, so you can't, you know, spam the field with 3 of these in one turn and OTK your opponent. The first effect of the monster effect is once per turn you can pay half your light points, send as many cards as possible from your field to the graveyard, except cards in the extra monster zones, and if you do, send cards from your opponent's side of the field up to the number of cards in the graveyard sent there from your field. So it's basically, I guess, kind of something like an evenly matched, but it obviously sends to the graveyard. It doesn't like banish or anything like that. Then inflict 300 damage to your opponent, or excuse me, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards sent to the graveyard times 300. So it basically still has that whole 300 effect. It does not hit your opponent's hand. You do not lose any cards from your hand. Also, it doesn't actually kill itself if you special summon it from the extra deck, but I'll talk about that in a second. The second effect of the monster effect is place this card or place this face-up special summon card at the bottom of your deck if it leaves the field. That's understandable. Basically, Konami doesn't want you banishing this to summon another copy of itself during another turn. Okay, the first thing that I have to just make people understand about this card, this is not supposed to support Pendulum archetypes. I understand that it is a Pendulum monster, but you first got to get that in your brain. Even though this is a Pendulum monster, this is really supposed to support Dragon and really more specifically Chaos-y type themes, and I think that this card nails that absolutely. Like, it does it so well. Number one, if you just look at, like, don't even look at the effect, right? Look at the makeup of this card. Okay, it's level 8. That means it's a trade-in target. A lot of dragon decks like Blue Eyes and, you know, other dragon decks, they generally like to run stuff like trade-in. You look at the fact that it's a dart target, Allure of Darkness. When you look at its, oh, it's also, by the way, searchable from Melody of the Awakening Dragon, which is a fantastic card that can also get you a lot of other good cards like, what's that card? Alternative Dragon and the original Blue Eyes and whatnot. If you look at the Pendulum effect, it actually is amazing because basically, let's say that you happen to have one of your dragons banished, right? It gets bottomless trap hole, or hell, maybe you use Allure of Darkness for like your red eyes or something like that. Essentially, you can put this guy in a scale, you can recover that dragon instantly, and then you can still chaos summon it during that same turn. Basically, it's just a +1 in that instance. You also look at the fact that when you use its effect on field, yes, it does cost basically more life points to kind of nuke the field, because before it was just 1,000 life points, now it's half your life points, which most of the time is going to be more than 1,000. But you look at the fact that it does not kill itself, so it still leaves you the possibility of easily OTKing your opponent, and I think that it's a pretty fair effect. I look at this card and I'm looking at decks like Blue Eyes, I'm looking at Chaos Dragons, and I'm thinking, dude, this is definitely some spicy tech, right? You look at Blue Eyes and some people are gonna say, Cap G, they ain't got no dark monsters though. Blue Eyes is a light attribute deck. Are you sure about that? Because if you splashed in this and you already know that you're running trade in, if you threw in 3 copies of this, I'm pretty sure that you could trade in one and then maybe Melody for another one and then summon that other one. You also have the potential of making Link Karibo very easily in Blue Eyes, because obviously Blue Eyes has a whole lot of level 1 monsters. Link Karibo just happens to be dark. If you're playing Chaos Dragons, which might be very, very impressive now, not only is this a card something that can get your banished dragons back, which you know you're going to be banishing a lot of dragons, but it makes Allure of Darkness basically like a +1, which is fantastic. And I think that this card is just really impressive. I mean, I know there's going to be somebody out there who maybe hypothetically tries to mess with it in pendulums. I just don't really see the utility of this card in a pendulum deck, because pendulums, like, they don't usually have cards in the graveyard, or not a lot of cards. So like, even if you were going to play this in an Odd Eyes where you could run, I guess, like Allure of Darkness, and you could banish like your Odd Eyes dragons and whatnot, the problem would be like, how are you getting light monsters in the graveyard? Are you going to wait for effect veilers, or like consistently getting a bunch of cards in the graveyard? I just don't know if I see that happening. But overall, I love this card. The erratic Chaos Emperor Dragon, you know, you get the nuke, but then you can't use like any other card effects during that turn. Like, fuck that shit. This card, your chaos summon is incredibly easy. It's basically kind of like a recovery card, and then you can chaos summon it during that same turn. Like, I don't really know what there isn't, or what there is to not like about this card. I like it a lot, and I feel like it will be very playable. I just think that you're going to have to play it in Chaosy decks, and if Chaosy decks end up getting more support, I don't know, maybe in like Soul Fusion or something like that, we may have a return of like Chaos Dragons, and people might not realize this because maybe they didn't play during Zexal, but Chaos Dragons won a YCS championship. That deck, that's the reason Future Fusion got banned, by the way. That deck was utterly ridiculous. So let me know what you guys think of Chaos Emperor, the Armageddon Dragon. I give this card like a legit 9 out of 10, and if this is the standard that Konami is setting for these newer versions of these dragons, then so far they're doing extremely well. Like, this is the potential of them hitting 4 home runs, because I was hyped about these cards, but let's be real, guys, Konami could have easily fucked this up. Now, the only thing they need to do, they need to just go overboard and release the Dragon Rulers, because if you had the Dragon Rulers and these in this card in the same format, oh my god, that would actually be broken. Anyways, now I'm talking nonsense. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos.